Coming this Thursday, we're going to be seeing the biggest update that Rust has done in quite some time. For some people, this is going to be a very minor change, making life a little bit easier, or they'll just completely ignore it. For others, this is going to mean completely automated bases that take care of all of your crafting and ensure that you always have a gear set ready to go and never have to think about organizing ever again. Of course, everything is subject to change before the patch and might even get changed shortly thereafter. Getting right into it, we're going to be going over all of the new items and what they do. Then I'm going to be showing you some very basic systems that'll make your life significantly easier without much work. And then finally, we're going to be getting into stuff that might completely change how people play the game, or just break it. If you want to skip to a specific part later, check the timestamps down below. And without any further delay, let's get into it. The automation update aims to do exactly that. With new ways to handle your storage, sorting, cooking, and even crafting, it has some really interesting possibilities. Starting off, we see the introduction of some brand new items. And everything starts with the pipe tool. This tool works much like a wire tool, except it places pipes that do take up quite a bit more space. Pipes cannot go through walls, they can however go through open door paths, and you can even place the door down once you've placed the pipe. However, pipes cannot be placed too close to certain things, and have trouble going through doorways as the frames can often block them. Windows can also be used and filled in, which can be great for blocking off things like furnaces or even loot rooms. The first piece of automation that we need to look at is the storage adapter. Used to allow you to place items in and pull items out of storage, it's got an input and an output and requires no power to use. This can be placed on most storage items including boxes, industrial furnaces, and even lockers and drop boxes. It's worth knowing that some items have multiple options for connections, while others only have a single. As well, there is going to be a location specifically to attach it, and that might affect the orientation that you place your boxes or other items. Probably the most interesting addition in my opinion is the industrial furnace. Not only does it craft at a better rate than a regular furnace, it only requires 1 power currently to do so. And while this may change soon in the future, it does go much further than that. As a solo who hates farming and hates organizing, this piece when connected right can save you so much trouble. But we're going to get more into that later, as I do have an entire section where we're going to go over that. The main point is that this has a single storage adapter connection located on its left side, as well as power located on its right. Next, we're going over what is probably the most important part of the circuit, a conveyor. A conveyor allows you to pull items from one location to another, and it also allows you to set a filter, allowing you to only select certain items and even specific amounts of that item. It's useful to know that some connections do not require a conveyor to pull, and it instead can be located later on in the line. This means if you're pulling from a box into a splitter and into a crafter, you only need the conveyor right before the crafter. A conveyor has a single input and a single output and only requires 1 power to use. This, as well as everything else that requires power, has the option for on and off power inputs, as well as manual inputs. Next, we're going to be going over the splitter and combiner. A splitter has 1 input and 3 outputs. This allows you to send items from one source into multiple. This can be incredibly useful when stacking lockers, sorting boxes, or cooking in multiple furnaces at one time. A combiner does the exact opposite. Taking 3 sources and combining them into one, this can be useful when you're crafting items, as it can pull from multiple boxes and bring multiple sources of cooked sulfur into a single box. Finally, we've got the industrial crafter. This one is probably going to be used a lot less often, but it can be incredibly useful. Requiring a blueprint of whatever you want to make and placed on a workbench, you can use a conveyor to pull items in and craft everything you need. This can then be directly sent into a box or a locker, or alternatively, you can just pull them directly out of the crafter. Now that we understand what each part does, I'm going to be showing you one of my favorite applications. Like I said before, I hate farming, organizing my loot, and I'm really bad at keeping up my furnaces. And if any of those things apply to you, you're going to love this. We're looking at the electric furnaces and how broken they can be. First off, it requires no wood, meaning no more cutting trees. Not only that, it cooks faster and is smaller than a regular furnace. This allows it to be placed under half-height floors and allowing you to tuck it away inside of your storage rooms. Not only that, but it can also be fully automated. First off, you're going to need 2 boxes, 2 industrial furnaces, 2 industrial conveyors, a single industrial splitter and combiner, as well as a small battery, solar panel, generator, and 3 electric branches. Starting off, we place 2 furnaces sort of spread out and looking forward. This allows for the most space and easiest connections. While you could technically fit 3 in that space, you wouldn't be able to still do the automated connections. Next, we place 2 boxes in front with just enough space for our door. Then we can connect our 4 storage adapters to all of these components and place a conveyor above each box. Between the furnace, we place a combiner and a splitter below it. Next, we connect our input box to the conveyor above it and filter it to metal and sulfur ore. Connect that directly to the splitter. Now connect both furnace inputs to the splitter connection and connect their output to the combiner. This will pull anything from up to 3 furnaces and allow you to combine it into one box. Take the output from the combiner and run it into the conveyor that's above the other box. Program it to only pull metal frags and cooked sulfur. Connect that to a storage adapter above that box and you're pretty much good to go. All that remains is to supply power source by connecting the solar panel above your base to a small battery on your TC, pull the battery into 3 E branches, and connect everything to the output. Next, you'll need to manually turn everything on. As well, if you want the ability to turn them off and on later, you should connect a button to each. A button creates its own power, meaning you could have an on and off for both furnaces and the conveyors, though it's not really needed. Now, anytime you deposit your farm into that box, it'll automatically get pulled into the furnaces, cooked, and brought into the box of loot at the end. No more forgetting to turn on or stock your furnaces, no more cutting down trees, your life just got a lot easier. Since this can be done in half height, you can go ahead and add a shelf above it and use the upstairs to either do more cooking or just regular storage. This might actually be the death of furnace rooms. While there are tons of ways to utilize and even exploit this automation update, I'm about to tell you one that the devs don't want you to hear about. By starting with your standard 2x1 or basically any core you want, the only difference is we're going to use a single door frame. The key to this is 2 parts. First, you're going to want to set up all of your conveyors next to that doorway just like this. By following that line on that stone floor and moving up straight from there, we're going to make sure that we can access this entire conveyor system from the outside of the bunker. Once that's set up, you're going to want to make sure that you connect all of your inputs and your outputs. This is a lot easier to do before we actually bunker this, so get it set up now. Once that's done, you can go ahead and grab a vending machine. We're going to place this vending machine just slightly back from the door and a little bit to the left. Once that's placed, you're going to see that you have a gap right between the door and the vending machine. If you've done this correctly, this is perfect. Now you can actually access those pipes from the outside. This allows you to change the filters, turn them on and off, and most importantly, reconnect it if it ever gets broken. This means if someone does raid through your base and destroy one of the outside connections, you can always replace it later. However, obviously it's not quite sealed, but that is easily fixed. By going into your vending machine and then rotating it, you'll see that you've completely blocked the doorway. This means that no raider can touch anything inside of there without destroying first the door and then the vending machine. And as we know, anybody destroying a vending machine also destroys the contents of that vending machine, meaning that you could have stored very valuable loot in there before you logged off. I would, however, make sure that you do have a bag on both sides of this vending machine, as sometimes you are going to have to spawn inside to move things around. Of course, if this video helped at all, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe for future content. And if you're looking for a good base to head into your wipe with, click one of these 2 videos being recommended to you now. Until next time, have a good wipe and peace out.